Toss a pigskin! The new gridiron!
So Chris Mortensen has been for a long time the face and voice of our football coverage, journalistically responsible. We used to do a weekly show with him back when we started, and he brought us credibility we did not deserve. And so now football is upon us. Chris Mortensen, do you still get that stir in your stomach right now? The Hall of Fame game. Do you today feel like the earth is about to change soon?
No.
Oh, really? Wait, Mort. Mort, how about now?
Mort. Listen to it.
Oh,
Mort.
Persuasive.
Anything changing, Mort?
Yes. Mort, do you want to reconsider your answer? Is the earth about to change tomorrow night?
Is Tim Tebow playing?
Oh.
Mort
I
is
wish.
cynical. Mort, after all these years in journalism, Mort has lost those butterflies. What happened, Mort?
Well, I've always been cynical. I will say this, contract and holdout stories to me, as long as I've covered the league, there have been no stories. We act like they're unique, and Le'Veon Bell he didn't have a contract last year, so he wasn't a holdout. And then the other thing is that we know preseason football has been more diminished. They're getting more done in training camp in terms of how they prepare players. Yeah, I mean I'll watch games because there's some young players I want to see here and there. But I'm looking forward to the Hall of Fame, Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement ceremonies. I am looking forward to that on Saturday, and will be part of our coverage. We are Trey Wingle, myself, and Jeff Saturday will be the 45-second props in between those speeches.
Your bridges to speeches. Dan Kirkshin still has the butterflies. He still gets them.
Kirkshin still loves that thing, and holdouts don't bother Kirkshin. I find this all dispiriting that our face and voice for football here. Yeah, he's like Mort's really ruined it.
I mean, the Denver Broncos are putting on uniforms.
Yes.
The Atlanta
I think
Falcons are
Mort's
putting on
working is what he's
uniforms.
telling you.
It's two pro football teams putting on uniforms, meaning on the gridiron.
Nobody's holding out tomorrow, Mort. Nobody, this is unbelievable that you've allowed the sports fan in you to be sucked away by holdouts.
Well, they're not. Holdouts, I think, are the most overhyped stories that we do, but we do it because it's training camp. And generally, like I said, unless you're a Le'Veon Bell, and even what he did last year surprised me, where you don't have a contract, therefore you're not really a holdout. These guys who have contracts, eventually they will sign, or maybe one or two will get traded. But it happens, and it's always happened for as long as I covered the league. Now, preseason games, yeah, I'll watch some of them. But let's face it, it's that Thursday night kickoff game. When the Packers and Bears play, that's when I'm going to get revved up, and I'm pretty excited about the Browns just for Mike's sake.
Oh, geez.
That's legitimate. Happy about it. I actually think the Jets will be better, though. I'm concerned about their defense.
Yeah, good defense.
And you're wrong when you say Josh Allen is trash.
I never said that. I think Josh Allen's great.
I've heard. No, see, there's another lie. That's one thing about Stugotz. I've always loved you, but the one thing about watching your show every day is LeBatard and everybody, they've exposed you.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that you don't tell the truth about anything.
I said, Josh Allen coming out of college, I said he had a chooch. And here's the thing. No one knew about this running ability. I mean, this guy could be potentially a 1,000-yard rusher. Well, you knew.
Don't say nobody knew. I'm sure we were supposed to talk about something else, so.
I want to know, Mort, the running back most likely to get a deal because he's holding out.
Oh, more money talk? You guys
Zeke
ruined
or Melvin Gordon?
Okay, money talk.
Ezekiel Elliott, I think Gordon could be troublesome, problematic. Maybe he gets money from another team. Maybe it won't be the Chargers. The Chargers are not a cash-rich team. But they may all be operating with the same salary cap, but in terms of cash flow, the Chargers, you see the stadium they play in, they're not bringing in a lot of cash revenue. Whereas the Dallas Cowboys, are they hurting for cash? No, they are not.
Well, help me understand this, Mort, because I don't understand the business part of this. The Cincinnati Bengals are the only team that I believe you could file the accusation. They don't care that much about winning, really. They care about running a business, and winning is, incidental. Are you telling me that that's now true of the Chargers?
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's not true of the Chargers. I think they care about winning, but let's face it, from a business standpoint, they haven't been a very good organization. Not being in San Diego, I mean, there's a lot of reasons. We don't have to get into it. But, they're playing in a 25,000-seat stadium. They have to pay rights fees to move into that stadium in Inglewood that the Rams or Stan Kroenke is building. But in terms of having the type of cash flow you need to, and they're going to have to pay Phillip Rivers, and they're going to have to pay Joey Bosa, and I think that running backs generally get the short end of the stick. And by the way, it was my complaint in 2011, and I will say this, that I said this to Roger Goodell, the commissioner, and I said this to Dee Smith, the executive director of the NFL Players Association. If you do this rookie wage model, it's got to be more sophisticated because the running backs are going to get the short shrift. What is their shelf life? We think it's 5 years, right? That's the basic feeling. The shelf life for prime, performance is probably 5 years. Well, under this system, your 5 years are used up under the rookie wage constraints.
I find fascinating, Chris Mortensen with us on ESPN Radio, what is happening in the Dallas huddle because of the following. Mort, first of all, Zeke is better at what he does than the other two guys are what they do. But beyond that, the other two guys are appreciably better statistically when Ezekiel Elliott is playing. They benefit. Dak turns the ball over a lot more when he's not playing. Amari Cooper's not the same player, small sample size, when he's not playing. What do you do with that entire thing, as Jerry Jones is saying, I don't need a rushing champion?
And off camera, he's laughing at what he just said on TV or on air, okay? So Ezekiel Elliott, and you are absolutely right about all of what you just said, he's only 23 years old. So the way to do this is go ahead and give him a front-loaded contract. In other words, give him the cash up front, and you pretty much figure that it'll be a 5-year deal, so you can be a little bit salary cap friendly. You give him his money, knowing that in 3 or 4 years he may be on the decline, but he's not on the decline now. And you're right, Dak Prescott is better with him. He's one of the few full-service 3-down backs that perform at a high level. And Amari Cooper, by the way, Amari's not really. He's not stressed about his contract, and he's not asking for the world right now. So it's really about getting Dak done and getting Zeke done, and I think they will both get done.
Mort, how does Julio Jones absorb the $100 million contract just given to Michael Thomas? Excuse me.
Jesus.
Well, Michael Thomas was a second-round pick, and in his first 3 years, he never had a base salary over $1 million. This is a case of making up for some of that and considering his performance, which is off the charts. We knew this number was going to be right around $20 million. It might be technically a shade under that, but it doesn't. It rounded off as $20 million. Julio has known that's the number that was going to come in, and Julio knows that that's the number plus that he expects to get from the Falcons. He may not play in any preseason game. In fact, he's already said he's not going to play any preseason games. I think Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, will make sure this gets done, even though some in the organization will say, well, he's got 2 years. We can't set this precedent. You can set a precedent when the player is as exceptional as Julio Jones.
Let me explain something to the audience here as we have time for one more question for Mort. We're all like elbowing each other trying to get that question. We love Mort. Mort is someone who has taken care of this show far longer than any of us have deserved to be treated right by this professional pillar and this guy soaked in ESPN integrity. But the shipping container is fighting, so you guys have something for Mort on the last question here?
Oh, I got something. Sure. Who's going last to first? Who's going last to first? Who's transitioning to the NFL? He knows all the quarterbacks already.
Answer
mine. What do you think about him? Is he too small? Is he actually going to run?
Baker got it. Baker got the goods.
That's the problem. He's too small.
Answer my question.
He's too small. He can't run. He's got to use his arm. That's the key.
Mort?
And that's why I love the show. And, oh, by the way, I'm just hoping Tim Tebow gets a September call-up, and the Browns will be in the playoffs this year.
Division 1!